Hi, everyone. Welcome to OverDrive presents In the Know Matchmaking with Macmillan. We are going to hang out for a few seconds while all of the viewers trickle in. As we're doing that, check out our website. We will get started in probably just a minute or so. At this point, the chat is enabled. Please feel free to chat us throughout the presentation if you have any questions or if there's anything that looks particularly cool or exciting. And then I'll also be talking about more information later about if there's anything that you see that you do find exciting. You can definitely reach out to us. So I think it looks like the trickle has slowed, so we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Fall 2023 preview. I am Amanda, and these are my colleagues, Emily, Samantha, and Michelle, and we are Macmillan's Library Marketing Department. Thank you so much to OverDrive for inviting us to be here today. We are very, very excited, and we have so much fun in store for you. Get ready for an hour of books. I also want to note captions are enabled, so if you would like to turn them on, you can do so using the live captions button at the bottom of your screen. A little bit more housekeeping here at the beginning. The screen that you're looking at now is everywhere you can find us on the internet. We have a great website where we are posting things daily, everything from exciting news like awards, movie news, etc., to genre roundups about our favorite thrillers that are coming out, or some giveaways. So definitely check that out. We also have a Twitter. Everything that we post, we tweet. So follow us on Twitter and even Instagram to stay up to date with some great news. We also have a monthly newsletter that will keep you up to date on all of our shenanigans. So I definitely encourage you to sign up to get the latest news and hear about all of the fun things we have going on, including virtual author events and more title presentations throughout the year. It is a great, great resource. And then on the next slide, many of the titles that we are talking about today already are or will be available to read on Edelweiss. If you're not already whitelisted for automatic downloads, you can shoot me an email at this email address that's on your screen, and I am happy to hook you up. And then if you enjoy hearing about forthcoming books, and if you're here, I assume you are interested, my team hosts a weekly book talking series that happens every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern that we call Happy Half Hour. It is 30 minutes where we talk about 4 upcoming titles and recommend more books to each other, and it's just a lot of fun. So definitely check it out if you need like quick and easy collection development or reader's advisory resource. And with that, we are going to go on to the books. Today's book buzz is matchmaking themed. So we are going to match you all and each other with the perfect reads, all based on genre. So today we're going to start today's presentation with adult books, and then we're going to end with some YA books. And so off we go.
Yes, I am getting the first matches, and I'm very excited. All the general fiction matches.
Okay, so I think I get to recommend first, and I am recommending A True Account by Catherine Howe to Samantha. This book just sounds so much fun, mostly because of one word, which is pirates. This is about a woman who takes to the seas at the end of the golden age of piracy. Then in 1930, a professor is putting together her life story and finds a centuries-old mystery that she is determined to solve. And together, these dual timelines make up the unforgettable story of 2 women in different worlds, both who are shattering the rules of their own society and daring to risk everything to go out on their own account. This will also be great for fans of the courageous and determined heroine of Anna North's Outlaw. Anyone who liked the story of 2 women in different worlds, like that in The Lost Apothecary, and a beautiful story set in the time of pirates, such as The Starless Sea. So a lot of stuff going on here.
My pick for Samantha is Roaming by Jillian and Mariko Tamaki.
Roaming marks a triumphant return to the graphic novel and a deft foray into new adult fiction for Caldecott Medal authors Jillian and Mariko Tamaki. As a born and raised New Yorker, I know Samantha loves reading books that are set in New York City, and Roaming is set in 2009 over the course of a spring break trip to New York City, where a long-term friendship is thrown off balance when an unexpected fling blossoms during the trip.
And my recommendation is Above the Salt by Catherine Vaz. This is based on a true story, and it is the moving saga of a couple torn apart while immigrating from Portugal to the United States, only to be reunited in the midst of the Civil War after both of their lives have changed greatly. They'll have to make impossible decisions and overcome difficult obstacles in order to be together. Catherine Vaz's Above the Salt is a captivating and beautiful tribute to the power of true love and the sacrifices we make to harness it. I'm recommending this to Samantha because I know she'll enjoy a sweeping story that spans generations and historical moments and is simultaneously tinged with love and conflict.
All of these sound amazing, and I actually love how different they all are, so I have a lot to look forward to. I will take you all through some more general fiction, starting off with Absolution. Alex McDermott is back with her first novel in 6 years following The Ninth Hour. Here we have a novel flipping from present day to the 1960s, from Maryland to Vietnam, filled with urgent questions about race, colonialism, family, motherhood, and religion. This is the account of two young American wives in 1963, determined to relieve the suffering of the orphaned and sick children around them. And then 60 years later, in the present day, one of the women and the daughter of the other take a look back at their shared lives and come to terms with how they are living today. Next is Amazing Grace Adams. This debut is the touching and unforgettable story of an invisible woman pushed to the brink and finally pushing back. Grace Adams is stuck in traffic on her daughter's birthday, and she is completely losing it. She steps out of her car and leaves it in the middle of the road, setting off across London, armed with a Love Island-themed cake, on a mission to win back her estranged 16-year-old daughter. But in order to understand how Grace got to where she is today, we also see the beautifully romantic and touching story of where she's been. You'll want to cry with Grace, laugh with her, and hug her throughout her journey, as Grace has to remind everyone of her importance, but she has to especially remind herself. This combines the humor of Leon Moriarty with the poignancy of Jojo Moyes, yet with a voice uniquely her own. And next is Blackouts. Justin Torres returns after his gripping and innovative debut, We the Animals, with an exploration on queerness, mental health, and how people from Latinx community have been cast out. Here we have an unnamed protagonist tending to a dying man in the desert. The dying man passes along a special project inspired by a true artifact of the book Sex Variants, comprising stories collected in the early 20th century from queer subjects. The dying man and our narrator spend their time together trading stories of their lives and understanding that the past is still with us. This extraordinary story is a book about books, the powerful connections we make with others, and the tale of lost LGBTQIA+ history. Perfect for fans of A Little Life, Middlesex, and On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Next is Devil Makes 3. This is political fiction at its very best from the award-winning author of Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. This urgent and resonant novel portrays a country in the midst of upheaval taking place in 1991 Haiti. With a rise of brutal military dictatorship, we follow Matt and his best friend and business partner, Alex. The two are desperate for money and survival and have their sights set on priceless treasures that are rumored to be found in a shipwreck off of Haiti's southern coast. Working through obstacle after obstacle, Devil Makes 3 is a propulsive story of the power and greed hungry. Readers are given a political novel that provides a look at our times with more clarity than many pieces of nonfiction. And next is The House of Doors. This is a mesmerizing novel based on real events from a best-selling Booker shortlisted author. Set in 1921, this is the story of Leslie and her husband Robert, who is a lawyer and war veteran. When Willie, an old friend of Robert's, arrives for a visit, he threatens a rift that could have life-altering consequences for everyone. Willie is a great novelist on the search for his next subject after years of an unhappy marriage, and as Leslie and Willie spark a friendship, she starts to confide in him more and more, and all of her stories are stories worthy of fiction. Next is Meanwood. This is the long-awaited sequel to Hild. It's bigger, bolder, bloodier, and even more medieval. This is perfect for fans of the action, romance, and adventure and lore of ACOTAR, the sweeping sagas of medieval intrigue in House of the Dragon, the timely portraits of medieval women from Hamnet, and the Dark Ages England found in The Evening and the Morning. And next is One Blood. This is Homegoing meets The Mothers, where three women are tied together by blood, love, and family secrets. Potent, poetic, powerful, told with deep love, and spanning from the Great Migration to the civil unrest of the early 2000s, Deneen Milner's beautifully wrought novel explores three women's intimate struggle with generational trauma and healing. Inspired by Deneen's own childhood and her own adoption story, this is a story filled with such raw love, moving and heartbreaking relationships, and the bonds between mothers and their children, no matter what their relationship is. Next is The Porcelain Maker. This is an emotionally wrenching love story about a brilliant and talented Jewish architect who falls in love with a beautiful and charismatic German artist, and it becomes her mission to save him when he is imprisoned in Dachau. His fate is based on the exquisite porcelain figures that he creates, and she would rather die than live without him. Over 60 years later, her daughter is on a journey to discover the identity of her father, the father that her mother kept a secret her whole life. The writing here is just so lyrical and evocative, you won't believe that it's the author's debut, and it's based on a real place, an SS-run porcelain factory, a subcamp of Dachau, where inmates supplied the forced labor. And next is Sisters Under the Rising Sun. The author of The Tattooist of Auschwitz and Silke's Journey returns with a story of sisterhood and survival in World War II that was inspired by a true story. This time she explores the female prisoners of war captured by the Japanese who found courage and resourcefulness in a camp in the jungle of Sumatra. And next is Where There Was Fire. This is a lyrical debut about a Costa Rican family in the years following a devastating fire on their banana plantation. It's the story of a mother and a daughter trying to forgive what they do not yet understand, and the mystery at the heart of one's family's rupture, steeped in jealousy, labor uprisings, and the havoc wreaked by banana plantations in Central America. While this is the author's full-length debut, his writing has already been widely acclaimed and is based on his own family's history. And Yours for the Taking by Gabrielle Korn. Speculative fiction has had a huge recent success, and this will fit right in with Station 11, Severance, and The School for Good Mothers. Here we have a feminist utopia and dystopia with a story about the control and failings of white corporate feminism. This is a queer debut set in the year 2050 with Ava, who loves her life, but finds it hard to be happy in a world where climate change is rapidly creating an unsafe environment. But there is the Inside Project, a series of weather-safe structures around the world that guarantee the survival of accepted applicants. As Ava begins to work on the project, she and a few other women start to notice some cracks in the system. This is a haunting yet beautiful dystopian story that will leave readers with so much to think and talk about.
Okay, I think I am next, and I am so excited to hear about and talk about some sci-fi, fantasy, and horror that we have coming out. But first of all, I want to get your recommendations. So tell me, what should I read next?
My recommendation for Amanda is The Dead Take the A Train. And I know that Amanda loves both horror and fantasy, and so this recommendation is the perfect mix of those two. The Dead Take the A Train is the first book in a duology that fuses Cassandra Claw's cosmic horror and Richard Kadri's gritty fantasy into a full-throttle thrill ride straight into New York's underbelly. It's a dark story full of magic, monsters, and mayhem that I am positive Amanda will love.
You are very correct. I'm very excited for this one.
And then I am recommending After the Forest. This is a dark and enchanting take on my personal favorite fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel. Fairy tale retellings are having their moment for sure, and I know Amanda is always a fan, especially when it is as dark and enchanting as After the Forest and has the best twist, baking magic. The magic in this book literally has its own voice, its own motives, and cannot be ignored. This isn't Hansel's tale, but Gretel's, or Greta in the book. It's been 20 years since Greta and Hans were trapped in the gingerbread house, and it has not gone well. They are in debt, Hans has a gambling problem, and Greta has a secret. Their witch has been whispering in her ear for the past 2 decades, and the whispers are about the best gingerbread you've ever tasted, and it's also their only hope for staying afloat. But can Greta stay out of the town's gossip and suspicion as dark magic is returning to the woods? She can only save herself, Hans, and their town if the dark magic doesn't kill her first. Fans of Alex E. Harrow, Other Birds, and Nettle and Bone will fall in love with this debut.
And I want to recommend Last to Leave the Room by Caitlin Starling. This is about Dr. Rivers, who is trying to figure out why her town is sinking. One night, she finds a mysterious door at the bottom of her basement stairs, and behind it, there's a duplicate of herself. However, this clone has the exact opposite personality of her. The longer her doppelganger is around, the more Dr. Rivers feels like she's losing her memory and her concept of time. She must figure out what this twin wants before it's too late for her. I'm recommending this genre-busting speculative novel to Amanda because I know she likes smart, realistic horror that bends the mind while it entertains.
You all know me so well. These sound amazing. Okay, so some more sci-fi fantasy horror that everyone else listening should definitely keep their eye on. The first up is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is actually a prequel that follows coffee shop owner Viv from Legends and Lattes. Here in this book, she's still in her career with a notorious mercenary company she's sent to recuperate from an injury in a sleepy beach town and spends her hours at a beleaguered bookshop in the company of its foul-mouthed proprietor. Definitely for fans of cozy fantasy. And we also have The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This one is so exciting. Welcome back to the world of the Shades of Magic series. This is the start of an all-new series featuring tangled schemes and perilous adventures with friends old and new. A Kirkus starred review for The Fragile Threads of Power says, Schwab's pacing is confident, assured, and the book leaves a masterful spell on the reader. A delicious treat for fans of the Shades of Magic series and a lush, suspenseful fantasy on its own right. So V.E. Schwab hit a whole new audience with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And so I think this is the perfect opportunity for any fans looking for more. Hemlock Island by Kelly Armstrong. This standalone horror is about a woman who rents out her vacation home, but renters start to report bloody bones, hex circles, and bloody nail marks inside the guest room closet. She comes to investigate and finds something that doesn't want anyone getting off the island. Kelly Armstrong has mastered mysteries, fantasy, YA, so you know her horror debut is going to be great. And I think Riley Sager fans will definitely love this. A Power Unbound by Freya Marsk. This is the final entry in Freya Marsk's beloved, award-winning Last Binding trilogy, the queer historical fantasy series that began with Library Read's pick Marvelous Light and continued in Library Read's pick Alexis Truth. It features secrets, magic, and enemies to something more. Here our protagonists will become entangled in a night of champagne, secrets, and bloody sacrifice, and the foundations of magic in Britain will be torn up by the roots before the end. Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. This is a sweeping, page-turning folk horror where misfortune or luck is just a coin toss away. Written with the devilish cadence of Stephen Graham Jones' The Only Good Indians and with the pulse-pounding brutality of Nick Cutter's Little Heaven, Red Rabbit is an epic adventure of luck and misfortune where death is always just around the bend. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is a grim and gothic new tale from the New York Times bestselling author about a small town haunted by secrets that can't stay buried and the sinister house that sits at the crossroads of it all. This standalone Kentucky Gothic fantasy is sure to capture fans and new readers with its gripping themes and beautiful prose. A starred review from Library Journal says, Harrow's captivating prose centers her flawed, cynical protagonist in a haunting plot of horrible actions, fog-hidden beasts, and moving connections between family, friends, and lovers. Fans of Shirley Jackson and Catherine Ward should pick this up. So there you go. And Start a Villain by John Scalzi. Just look at this cover. It's probably one of my favorites. We're not allowed to have favorites, but don't tell anybody. So John Scalzi is the best-selling author of the Library Reads Pick, the Kaiju Preservation Society, and here he returns with another unique sci-fi caper set in the strangest of all worlds, which is present-day Earth. Inheriting your uncle's supervillain business is more complicated than you might think, particularly when you discover who's running the place. Also hint, just take another look at the cover. 2-star reviews so far for this one, with Library Journal saying, readers of humorous fantasy are sure to love Scalzi's latest as much as those cats. It's also for those who enjoy seeing superhero stories folded, twisted, and mutilated, and anyone wishing for a righteous villain lair surrounded by intelligent sharks. Highly recommended.
Okay, I am excited because we are back to me again, and I am always on a mystery thriller kick, so let's add to it.
Okay, I'm gonna go first, again, because I am just so excited for this book, Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. Alice Feeney is the true queen of twists, and I'm pulling out the favorite word a lot. She is one of my personal favorite psychological thriller authors, so I recommend her basically to everyone. This new book starts 20 years ago when a baby was stolen from a stroller. And now when someone at a care home is killed, 4 women are snared in a complicated web and must solve a mystery with 3 suspects, 2 murders, and 1 victim. If they do, they might just find out what happened to the baby who disappeared, the mother who lost her, and the connections that bind them. It's a classic Alice Feeney book where nobody can be trusted and the twists come fast and furious. It also just got a star review from Publishers Weekly, which says it solidifies her reputation as a premier purveyor of psychological suspense. This crafty thriller will touch readers' hearts as much as it bends their minds. So everybody needs to read Alice Feeney.
My pick for Samantha is Here in the Dark by Alexis Solowski. And I picked this for Samantha because I know that she loves theater. And the author of this book is a theater critic. And this is a psychological suspense about a young theater critic who is drawn into a disappearance and a murder that blurs the lines between reality and performance. It takes us behind the scenes of New York theater, lifting the curtain on the lies we tell ourselves and each other.
And I'm recommending Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Lord by Celeste Connolly. This is Bridgerton meets Agatha Christie, a delightful tale of an amateur female sleuth investigating a suspicious death in Regency-era London. The first installment in a new series, this mystery follows Lady Petra as she uses her status to uncover the deep, dark secrets of high society. I'm recommending this to Samantha because I know she'll love the cozy setting, feminist spin, and lovable cast of characters.
These are perfect, and I am being totally honest when I say these are my 3 most recent downloads, so that was great. And then I have some more mystery thrillers. First up, you might recognize this one, The Bell in the Fog. This is the follow-up to Library Reads Pick a Lavender House, which asks, once you have finally found a family, how far would you go to prove yourself to them? In 1950 San Francisco, Detective Andy has started a new life as a private investigator. When his ex-boyfriend turns up out of nowhere asking for help, Andy has but no choice but to oblige. The case that follows will take him back to his days in the war and force him to face old buried secrets. Give this one to anyone looking for queer historical mysteries. And next is The Curse of Penrith Hall. Set in the ancient Cornish countryside, this is an atmospheric Gothic mystery about an American heiress who is drawn to Penrith Hall, an unsettling fortress and the home of her once dear friend. When a gruesome murder occurs while she's there, she must work to discover what really happened to prevent her friend from being the next victim. And next is The Golden Gate. This is a compelling debut and historical thriller that illustrates a California caught in the crosswinds of World War II and massive societal change. In Berkeley, California, in 1944, a presidential candidate is assassinated at the Claremont Hotel. Homicide detective Al Sullivan's investigation into the murder dredges up the memory of another tragedy at the Claremont Hotel, the death of 7-year-old Iris Stafford, a member of the Bainbridge family, one of the wealthiest in all of San Francisco. As Detective Sullivan wades through the Claremont's storied and horrifying past, he does not allow anyone or anything to get in his way until he finally reaches a devastating conclusion. Next is The Intern by Michelle Campbell. A young Harvard law student falls under the spell of a charismatic professor in this timely and thrilling novel about class, privilege, murder, and vengeance. It's dark, addictive, and full of dangerous secrets. Readers of It's Always the Husband, Too Good to Be True, and The It Girl will love this dangerous cat and mouse game that have two women either saving one another or in the middle of a betrayal that will leave one of them dead. Next up is Perfect Shot. A former Army sniper must fall back on her special ops skills when a friend's death uncovers a global nuclear threat in this electrifying new series. Special Agent Alexandra Martel earned a reputation as one of the most renowned Army snipers before putting her days on the battlefield behind her. But when Alex, now an FBI special agent on loan to Interpol, learns that an old friend has been killed under mysterious circumstances, she's pulled back into the dangerous world she left behind. Charming, highly intelligent, and never missing a target, Alex also struggles with PTSD and throws herself into her job after the loss of her husband. She is a wonderfully complex character for whom readers will root as she fights to save the world. And next up is A Traitor in Whitehall. This is the first book in the new Parisian Orphan series. Evelyn Redfern was the most notorious child in the world, known as the Parisian Orphan. Now she's working at a munitions factory in World War II London, yearning for a different life. When she sees an opportunity to work in Winston Churchill's cabinet war room, she takes it. But when one of her co-workers is murdered, she draws on her amateur sleuthing skills gleaned from reading mystery novels to try to get to the bottom of this crime. Evelyn Redfern isn't just the plucky and talented secretary spy we have come to know in the present day. Her past as the infamous Parisian Orphan is sure to leave its mark on readers and adds an extra layer of mystery.
Okay, me again for another genre I'm very excited about. Can you all tell that I love genre fiction in general? But we're on to romance. So give me your best romance recommendations.
Okay, so my pick for Amanda is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. And I know for a fact that Amanda, as well as most of the rest of the world, loved Fourth Wing. And I know Amanda also loves anything romantasy, so I'm certain that she's eagerly awaiting this sequel, Iron Flame. Violet has survived her first year at Basgiath War College for Dragon Riders, but the danger is just beginning in this electrifying, pulse-pounding follow-up to Fourth Wing.
I am so excited for this. You are absolutely right. Every day I'm checking.
Staying kind of ish on theme for Amanda, this Calamity by Constance Fay has, I think, everything Amanda loves: space action, steamy romance, great banter, and the perfect amount of sci-fi. Also, I know that Amanda is always excited to start a new series, so this one is perfect. This is another cool one coming from Bramble this fall, and it's the imprint's inaugural debut that is equal parts steamy interstellar romance and sci-fi adventure, perfect for fans of Firefly and Alona Andrews. A spaceship captain is hired for a scouting mission on a backwater desert planet, but is saddled with the son of the terrifying elite family who hired them, and sparks fly as they encounter volcanic eruptions, secret cultists, and deadly galactic fighters.
And I'm recommending Funny Feelings. This is about a comedian whose star is on the rise, and she must fake date her manager / longtime friend in order to stir up publicity for herself. Even though her manager has sworn off the spotlight for himself, he'll do whatever he can to help her realize her dreams. But when their fake relationship grows increasingly more real, they must finally face the funny feelings they have for each other head on. I'm recommending this to Amanda because I know she'll love the fake dating trope, comedy theme, and found family aspect. Not to mention that you can't go wrong with a novel from a rising book talk star.
You are not wrong. You sound so great. Okay, let's get some more romance. Starting off with another one that I really loved. This is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Colmar. This book started off as a viral TikTok series, with the author's channel having nearly 25 million views in all. It has finally made its way to book form, and I absolutely loved it. It's about a woman who gets a job working for the villain that's been plaguing her realm for years. But this is romantasy. So yes, while he does torture people in the dungeon, we're also trying to find out what his motivations could possibly be. Plus on top of that, it was really very funny. It is a great blend of humor, heart, and fantasy vibes, very much like The Office, set in a fantasy world with a nice little romantic tension there as well. Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner, the author of the Library Reads Pick Mistakes Were Made, is back with the best sports romance you'll ever read, which is a bold claim, I know, but this is another one I absolutely loved. It is a sapphic rivals to lovers rom-com where two soccer teammates are at odds before falling in love as their team gears up for the World Cup. It's the perfect blend of funny and steamy and chock full of beloved tropes like teammates to lovers, what is this feeling so sudden and new, and sexual tension via hair braiding, alongside ADHD rep, a truly amazing cast of side characters, and the actual Women's Cup coming up very, very soon. This is sure to be a winner. Follow Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Jennifer Armentrout is the Goodreads Choice Award-winning author of the From Blood and Ash fantasy romance series, among others. Overall sales estimates of that originally print-on-demand indie pub series are about 2 million copies in print and ebook. Plus that series is huge on Book Talk as well. So all that is to say, I am so excited that we are publishing this book this fall, and this is one of the lead titles from the new Bramble imprint that Samantha mentioned earlier, which is all focused on romance. So this is a new series starter with all of the action, hidden identities, intrigue, mysterious abilities, and steamy romance that her fans love. If your patrons have any interest in romantic fantasy, this is one that you're definitely going to want to have on your shelves. Fly With Me by Andy Burke is a debut. It's sparkling, queer, steamy, opposites attract romance with one of my favorite romance tropes, which is fake dating. A flying phobic ER nurse hitches a ride with the stunning co-pilot after their flight is canceled after a medical emergency. And after spending a magical day together, they agree to fake date. Could this be the romantic ride of their lives or an epic crash and burn? Andy has a sparkling voice and great banter balanced with emotional moments, and this will be great for fans of joyful, steamy, queer romances in the vein of Alexandra Belfleur and Peace and McQuiston. Inheritance. Nora Roberts needs no introduction, but this is the first in a new trilogy about tragedies, loves, lost and found, and a family that has been haunted for generations. A woman inherits a majestic Victorian house from an uncle that she didn't know existed, but with the stipulation that she has to live in it for 3 years. There she discovers it's a little bit haunted and learns more and more about the first lost bride who was murdered on her wedding night centuries before. It soon becomes clear that she has inherited far more than just a house. She has inherited a centuries-old curse and a puzzle to be solved if there is any hope of breaking it. On the plus side, this is What Not to Wear, and Queer Eye meets all the feels in this sparkling rom-com in which the new guest on a popular makeover show has her style and her love life transformed when she and a grumpy cameraman find a connection that sends the show's ratings into a frenzy when they're caught on camera. You gotta love a good reality TV rom-com like One to Watch and Spoiler Alert. And as with Jenny's previous book, The Makeup Test, this is a fat positive love story where our heroine does not need to lose weight to find her happy ending. Thank You for Sharing by Rachel Runia Katz. This is a chemistry-filled childhood friends to enemies to lovers debut romance about two people who ended their friendship at summer camp 14 years ago until they're forced to collaborate with potential career-changing promotions on the line. With every meeting and post-work social gathering with colleagues, the tension and chemistry between them builds until they're forced to confront why they broke apart years ago at camp. But as they find comfort in their shared experiences as Jews of color and fumble towards friendship, they won't be able to ignore their growing feelings for each other. With queer and diverse characters, the very best in funny banter, and a nuanced look at friendship, love, and family, I would hand this to fans of Peace and McQuiston, 13 Going on 30, or even Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And Trading Places by Emily Duval. This debut rom-com is a great mashup of 10 Things I Hate About You and Trading Places, about a socialite and a blue-collar mechanic who trade lives. For 2 months, they'll switch houses, jobs, budgets, everything. And if she gives up early, her trust fund is gone forever. If he plays along until the end, he'll get the money his struggling car repair shop needs to stay open. So now the bet is on. This has every trope you could want. It has enemies to lovers, it has opposites attract, it has political scandals, it has rich girl, poor boy, it has bets and dares, and all of that combined with a great new voice.
Okay, I love nonfiction and I can't wait to share some nonfiction titles. But first, I really want to hear what you guys have picked for me.
Okay, I'm gonna go first again. My pick for you is The Worlds I See by Fei Li. And I picked this one because I think AI is on the top of everyone's minds these days. And this is a memoir from a woman who has spent more than 2 decades at the forefront of the field. But as amazing as that is, that's not all this book is about. As immigrants, her family faced a difficult transition from China's middle class to American poverty. Fei's adolescent knack for physics endured, and now she's kind of giving us a story of science in the first person, documenting what promises to be one of the century's defining moments from the inside. Very cool. Emily, you're muted.
Yep, sorry. I'm recommending I Must Be Dreaming by Roz Chast. And Roz Chast, if you are unfamiliar, is famous for her hilarious comics. And I mean, who couldn't use a laugh these days? In her newest graphic novel, Roz explores the surreal nighttime world inside her mind and untangles one of our most enduring human mysteries, dreams. She illustrates her own dream world, a place that is sometimes creepy, but always hilarious, and guided by insights from poets, philosophers, and psychoanalysts. I Must Be Dreaming is illuminating, surprising, funny, and often profound.
And then I am recommending If You Would Have Told Me. Here, John Stamos tells the incredible story of his life and career in a wonderfully candid, heartfelt, and inspiring memoir. And I know we all grew up with Full House, so I had to recommend this to Michelle. This memoir offers the opportunity to get to know the real John Stamos, from his early days on camera to becoming a beloved television, film, and Broadway actor. Stamos' life has been anything but ordinary. In his candid and rollicking memoir, readers will get an insider's look at Hollywood, fame, fortune, and failure. But it's not all glitz and glamour. Stamos also delves into the heartwarming aspects of life, such as love, friendship, and fatherhood. Get ready to see a new side of this familiar face.
I'm so excited for all of these. And once again, quite the range. They're all so different. And I haven't seen every episode of Full House, which I know a lot of people have, but I am very excited for John Stamos. Awesome. So I want to give some more nonfiction recommendations. My first one is Being Henry by Henry Winkler. This is a memoir in which Winkler reflects on his role as the Fonz and how it was both a blessing and a curse to be so distinctly typecast as this character. Known as the nicest man in Hollywood, he is friends with everyone, and his warmth and charisma come through on the page. Winkler also shares his struggles with severe dyslexia and recounts the difficulties he faced while growing up. Readers also learn about the roles Winkler has played since the Fonz and how he has kept his dreams alive since the end of Happy Days. His multi-generational fame means that a wide audience can relate to what he has to say. A powerful, inspiring memoir filled with heart and humor, Being Henry explores what it means to find fulfillment in life and how dreams can evolve over time. Next, I have Collision of Power by Martin Barron. This is a look at the power struggle between politics, money, media, and tech. When Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, he marked an end to the control that a single family had had over the paper for 80 years. When Trump won the presidency, the Post was tasked with reporting on a president who had campaigned against the press as the lowest form of humanity. In the face of Trump's unceasing attacks, Martin Barron steadfastly managed the Post's newsroom. In Collision of Power, he recounts this with the tenacity of a reporter and the sure hand of an experienced editor. Next, I am talking about The Fund from Rob Copeland. This is a deep dive into the largest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater Associates, and its former leader, Ray Dalio. Copeland interviewed those inside and close to the firm in order to get a clear picture of what Dalio is really like and how the firm runs. Tracing more than 50 years of Dalio's leadership, The Fund peels back the curtain to reveal a world of wealth and power where former FBI Director Jim Comey kisses Dalio's ring, recent Pennsylvania Senate candidate David McCormick sells out, and countless Bridgewater acolytes describe what it's like to work at this fascinating firm. Next is Punished for Dreaming by Bettina L. Love. In conversation with major bestsellers such as Heather McGhee's The Sum of Us, Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, and more, this is an unflinching reckoning with the impact of 40 years of racist public school policy on generations of Black lives. This account argues that Reagan's presidency ushered in a war on Black children, penalizing them in concert with the war on drugs. Love lays bare the devastating effect on 25 Black Americans caught in the intersection of economic gain and racist ideology. With input from leading US economists, she offers a roadmap for repair, arguing for reparations with transformation for all children at its core. Next, I have Thank You by Sly Stone. With a foreword by Questlove, this is a memoir from Sly Stone that dives not just into his career and brilliant songwriting, but also his personal life and demystifies what went on behind the scenes. Sly Stone created a new kind of music, mixing black and white, male and female, funk and rock. As a songwriter, he penned some of the most iconic anthems of the 1960s and 70s, but he's known as much for how he dropped out of the spotlight as for what put him there in the first place. This is a much anticipated memoir that many people thought Stone would never write. For years, his fans have been curious about the artist behind the music, and now they get to see the real Sly Stone. And finally, I have While You Were Out by Meg Kissinger. This is a searing memoir of a family besieged by mental illness, as well as an incisive exploration of the systems that failed them and a testament to the love that sustained them. While You Were Out begins as the personal story of one family's struggles, then opens outward as Kissinger details how childhood tragedy catalyzed a journalism career focusing on exploring our country's flawed mental health care. Combining the intimacy of memoir with the rigor of investigative reporting, the book explores the consequences of shame, the havoc of botched public policy, and the hope offered by new treatment strategies. Powerful, candid, and filled with surprising humor, this is the story of one family's love and resilience in the face of great loss.
All right, next up is YA, and I love YA, so I'm so excited to hear what all of your recommendations are.
Okay, my recommendation for you is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. Fun fact about me, one of my favorite classes in college was on Arthurian romances. So I was immediately excited to hear about this YA debut from one of our adult authors. It is Heartstopper meets A Knight's Tale in this queer medieval rom-com about love, friendship, and being brave enough to change the course of history. Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. It's chock full of sword fighting, found family, and romantic shenanigans that is destined to make readers fall in love, especially ones like me who love anything related to King Arthur.
Okay, and my pick is A Curse for True Love, and I know I'm not alone here, but I'm obsessed with this trilogy, and I know Emily also loves Stephanie Garber, and the series is just the best. And this is the highly anticipated conclusion to the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. And here, Evangeline Fox ventured to the magnificent North in search of her happy ending, and it seems as if she has it. She's married to a handsome prince and lives in a legendary castle, but she has no idea the devastating price she paid for this fairy tale. And her husband is determined to make sure she never finds out. But first, he must kill Jax, the Prince of Hearts. Blood will be shed, hearts will be stolen, and true love will be put to the test.
And I am really excited to recommend People to Follow by Olivia Worley. A group of 10 influencers is invited to participate in a reality show set on a remote Caribbean island. It's all fun and games until one of them ends up dead, and the survivors start receiving threatening messages from a mysterious sponsor. They have to figure out who's out to get them and how to get back to civilization before they're all canceled for real. I know Emily will enjoy this twisty, thrilling debut that appeals to both teen and adult readers alike, and I'm sure she will appreciate how this one keeps you guessing until the very last page.
I'm so excited for all of these. And now we're going to talk about some more YA, starting with Find Him Where You Left Him Dead by Kristen Simmons. The survivors of a deadly game have reunited for one strange and terrible reason. They've been summoned by the ghost of Ian, the friend that they left for dead. So they restart the game they never finished and are dragged out of their reality and into an eerie hellscape of Japanese underworlds where they have one night to complete 7 challenges or they'll all be stuck in this world forever. Next is Flower and Thorn by Radhi Malhotra. Irina has wanted to be a flower hunter her whole life. Now she uses her knowledge of magical flowers to guide her caravan in the harsh desert. When her handsome hunting partner and friend finds a priceless magical flower, Irina is sure it's going to change her life, until she's tricked by an attractive imposter and the flower ends up in the wrong hands. Now she's on a dangerous journey to recover the flower if she ever hopes to return home and mend the broken heart of the boy she left behind. From the author of Night of the Raven, Dawn of the Dove comes an epic romantasy standalone with a strong and unforgettable cast of characters, a swoony friends to lovers romance, and a high-stakes court politics that will keep you at the edge of your seat. Next is The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy. 2 friends embark on a dangerous journey into a forest that no one has ever returned from to procure a magical book. A forest alive with dark, deadly twists on some of our most well-known fairy tales, a forest with a mind of its own. Will they defy fate and accomplish what no one else has been able to do before? This spellbinding fantasy is the enchanting romance of Stephanie Garber meets the dark atmospheric fairy tale of Melissa Albert and the chilling horror of Pan's Labyrinth. Next is Godly Heathens by H.E. Edgman. This is the first book in a YA contemporary fantasy duology in which a non-binary trans teen, Jem, finds out they're a reincarnated god from another world. As their worlds collide and the past catches up with the present, Jem will discover that everyone has something to hide. In addition to trans, queer, and BIPOC representation, this duology opener also has chronic and mental illness representation, making this a story that many teens will be able to relate to. Next is The Hunting Moon by Susan Dennard, and this is the sequel to The Luminaries. Winnie Wednesday has gotten everything she thought she wanted. She's a hunter, has been welcomed back into the Luminaries, and she's become a local celebrity. But as bodies and secrets pile up around her, Winnie finds herself questioning what it means to be a true Wednesday and a true luminary, and also where her fierce-hearted loyalties might ultimately have to lie. Next is Night of the Living Queers by Alex Brown and Shelley Page, which is a YA horror anthology featuring queer authors of color putting fresh spins on classic horror tropes and tales, all set during Halloween night. No matter its name or occasion, Halloween is more than a Hallmark holiday. It's a symbol of transformation. Night of the Living Queers explores how Halloween can be more than just candies and frights, but a night where anything is possible. Each short story is told through the lens of a different BIPOC teen and the Halloween night that changes their lives forever. Creative, creepy, and queer, this collection will bring fresh terror, heart, and humor to young adult literature. Next is Secrets Never Die by Vincent Ralph. Every year, Sam Hall and his friends hold funerals for their secrets in an abandoned hut in the woods that they call the Dark Place. But this year, their secrets are coming back from the dead to terrorize them. One of Us is Lying meets I Know What You Did Last Summer in this creepy thriller from a New York Times bestselling author. Next is Songs of Irie by Asha Ashanti Bromfield. Perfect for fans of The Black Kids, Songs of Irie is a sweeping coming-of-age novel about a friendship struggling to survive amidst the Jamaican civil unrest of the 1970s. It's 1976, and Jilly and Irie come from 2 very different worlds. Jilly is from the mansions nestled in the hills, and Irie is from the heart of Kingston. As tensions build in the streets of Jamaica, so do tensions between the 2 girls. And a budding romance between them complicates things further as the push and pull between their 2 lives becomes impossible to bear. Can their bond survive this impossible divide? This is a compelling, emotional story of a friendship during wartime and what it means to fight for your words, your life, and the love of your life. And last is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. The Mummy meets Death on the Nile in this lush, immersive historical fantasy set in Egypt, filled with adventure, arrivals to lovers' romance, and a dangerous race where everything is on the line. With her guardian's infuriatingly handsome assistant thwarting her return, Inez must rely on ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance, or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. All right, and with that, we have reached the end of today's program. We hope that you learned about some exciting forthcoming books. Tomorrow, we'll be circulating a handy link from OverDrive with more information about everything that we talked about today. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you want to request anything that you saw today that you're particularly excited about. And thank you again to OverDrive for having us. And thank you all so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you next time. Bye.